Cradle, Dogs of Fount, Chapter 27, Part 1. He saw this one coming, but there would be more until he was dead. The assassin lay on the cold, white and blue speckled tiles of the bathroom floor. Blood was pooling under and around his head. Arturo was kneeling beside the body with sweat dripping from his head. His suppressor was noticeably warm for just firing 2 shots. He had minutes to leave. How they found this safe house was beyond his guesses. He used ID scramblers, disguises, decoys, and the like, but somehow he felt they always caught up to him. The problem was that he had nowhere else to go, and pretty soon they were going to use Ruth to get to him. She was safest and most vulnerable with Arturo now. She wasn't with him yet. He didn't want to force him to play that card yet. They'd attack him a few more times, and if he survived, Ruth would come in their sights. He stood and looked at himself in the pane of the mirror. He made sure that he showed no weakness in his face or eyes, for if he let any iota of that in now, it would be the final nail in the coffin. He was surprised that he was already growing a layer of stubble after not shaving for only 2 days. It was all well, though, to divert attention away from the normally clean-shaven general. Back in the dimly amber-lit living room, the radio console was set to a whisper, and even after 3 days of Oberheel's death, nothing was given to the news. Nobody knew he was dead yet. Arturo thought as he looked at the tweed grill of the radio and wondered if they had the ability to bring the judge back to life. It was highly improbable, but the stress seemed to stretch the general's paranoia just a bit. Alas, there was no time to waste. Most of his gear and weapons were in the open black satchel on the low couch. His screen hadn't buzzed since Hyatt texted him 3 hours ago about the growing instability on base. As far as Arturo was concerned, that life may be over for good, but he wouldn't let himself dwell on it now. He was still loyal to the true Fount, and would find a way to save it once he got out of the fire. He went over to the couch and threw his pistol in the bag and zipped it up and took it up by the straps. He went over to the foyer closet and pulled his bike helmet from the bare, dusty top shelf and put it on. He left the apartment and locked it and broke the key off in the lock. It was pouring outside. Arturo left the flat through the front door because it was useless to be sneaky now, and trying to evade in this wild scenario would waste precious time. The street lights were lit, creating orbs of warmth in the chilly rain. Arturo jogged, splashing his way to the e-bike parked in the alley up toward the roundabout that led to Legacy Thruway. He turned the corner and his bike was there, no flats or any other damage. It gleamed in biting black, and its headlight glowed as it sensed the general's bio key. The general pushed in the side saddle hatch and released it, opening up the compartment. He put the satchel inside and quickly snapped it back shut. Just as it shut, a driver beeped his horn obnoxiously, but it didn't cause Arturo to jump or react in any way. The bike hummed and smoothly glided the general onto the street and turned, planted on the pavement through the roundabout toward the highway. It was then that he made the decision to get Ruth now. There would be no more pulled punches, and he was sure he pissed off a lot of people. Even though he didn't do the shooting, he would never give up Hyatt, and not just for loyalty, but because of his assumed innocence. As he started out this operation, Hyatt was the general's eyes and ears for intel and other forewarning. Even so, he didn't know how long that would last either. On the Legacy Thruway, cars were speeding and changing lanes on the fly as usual. Spray was kicking up and rolling off Arturo's visor. He kept a steady pace, if not a little faster than usual. Ruth didn't believe in screens, and since she lived as a civilian, she wouldn't want to be seen with one anyway. The laws were being enforced more forcefully these days, with some of the refugees from the heap seeping into Fount. He made it to Ruth's street. If he'd been in the car, he wouldn't have been able to find a spot on her block. The cars lined the curb with colors of mostly black, gray, blue, and the occasional seemingly daring red. He parked behind an old and hulking Higgs cowboy. He had to walk back up the street about 40 yards to get to Ruth's flat stoop. The door to the apartment hallway was unlocked, which was usual but still perked the general suspicion mildly. Inside he looked for any signs of cameras, and as he thought, he couldn't tell. The hallway was brightly lit and accommodated with several paintings in wooden frames of landscapes and landmarks in and around Fount, Old and New World. The steps leading to the second floor were just slightly dimmer, and Arturo made his way up slowly to conserve energy and stay as quiet as was called for. He took out his keys, gripping them to keep them from chiming. He held his breath and opened up Ruth's door. Inside he smelled a thick aroma of cooking vegetables like tomatoes, carrots, and possibly chives. Ruth peeked out the kitchen ahead and to the left. Arturo put a finger where his lips would be behind his helmet. She remained skeptical until he pulled off his helmet.